This will be perhaps the most powerful training I've ever done to date. So I want you to listen carefully because out of 8.2 billion people, there's only four categories. As a matter of fact, those same four categories would go for businesses, and those same four categories would go for churches. But let me start with the premise. One of the things that changed my life forever, and that is every master was once a mess or at best mediocre. Therefore, every mess or mediocre person can one day be a master. Oh, come on, you got to get this. See, the people you look up to, you don't understand. You think there's so much difference between them and you. No, listen. The only difference between the people you respect and look up to, the only difference between me and the people I look up to and respect is one thing. They've had more breakthroughs than us. That's it. But here's the key. In our minds, we want to try to think that they were born with a silver spoon in their mouth and they didn't have to go through some things. No. Get this. Every master was once a mess or at best mediocre. And if you don't believe me, when they were born, they came out messing all over themselves. So every hero was once a zero. Every somebody was once a nobody. As a matter of fact, I tell people I was a nobody that God and I made into a somebody. And now I'm committed to telling everybody he can do the same, if not a whole lot more for anybody. And that's why I do these trainings. So again, my friend, every master, let me show you just a thing here, was once a mess. Therefore, every mess can one day be a master. And it's all about this journey. Look at me. And by the way, they're at 11. I'd started actually earlier, but it wasn't organized. It was an individual guy. So this is my first time being an organized class. But see that picture on the left? I don't look like much, do I? Right. And then a couple years later, you see now I'm kicking higher and so forth. And then you see me then laying on a razor sharp bit of nails with bricks on my stomach and a guy taking a 18-pound sledgehammer breaking it off. And then you see me breaking bricks on fire, right? I want to get people fired up. And then, of course, you see when I was voted into the Black Belt Hall of Fame, one of them been voted in a couple others now. So, but I want you to see that, my friend. That's how I started off as a mess. But then I ended up as a master. Here's one of the trophy rooms. We got a bunch more trophies that we gave away, and some even in the garage. Wife's like, enough is enough, right? But I'm telling you, my friend, it doesn't start like this. And the danger is you have to work hard. And I'll break this down to you in a minute, but you work hard at becoming a master. And then when you do, now everybody just whisks you away saying, oh, well, I could never be like you. It's like, well, you're Dr. Breakthrough. That's why. No, I was a mess of all messes. So real quick, again, the out of 8.2 billion people, you fall into one of these four categories. Now, as far as spirituality, there's only two categories, believers and non-believers, right? Saved and lost. But for this practical training, out of think about that, 8.2 billion people in the world. So see which category you fit into. Let me real quick give it to you, take a screenshot, and then we'll break and go through those individually. So every master was once a mess, therefore every mess can one day be a master. By the way, whenever a mess becomes a master, you now have a message that if you market to the masses, you can make millions. So categories. Number one, those who don't know or believe that they can become a master. Number two category, those who are becoming masters. I call them masters in the making. Number three, the masters who made it. And then number four, masters who messed up. Thus, they are masters in the remaking. Now, take a quick screenshot of that. I'll put it back up later, but that's what we're going to be talking about and break that down, okay? So again, first group is those, again, who are mess or mediocre, but they don't know or they don't believe that they can be a master. And that was me. The other day I did a television show and I was shocked at the answer when a fella asked me a question, the answer I gave, I hadn't thought about it. But he said, hey, when you were a child, what were your dreams? Didn't have any. I mean, I never even thought when I grew up that I'd make it out of high school. Dreams, man, I was just trying to exist every day. I was under such trauma. Watch this now. I was so inundated with my mess and my trauma and technically also victimhood. See, watch this now, because if you're not careful, watch this. Every victim or every person who's been victimized, if you're not careful, can develop a victim mentality and then literally become a volunteer victim, but God wants you to become a victor. Come on. By the way, that's why I tell people when it comes to your trials, don't curse them, don't nurse them, don't rehearse them. Give it to God, and you two get busy and reverse them. Come on, somebody. But watch this now. But every master was once a mess. Therefore, every mess can one day be a master. That's our foundation. So again, my friend, but when a mess becomes a master, you now have a message that if you market to the masses, you can make millions. That's my story, and I want to be your story. But first of all, I was in the category of I was a mess. Now, some of you may be mediocre, but I was a mess. No, I was a mess of a mess. And I didn't know and surely didn't believe that I could be a master. Dad left when I was 3, never came home, never sent a dime. When I was 6 years of age, I was out in the middle of a field playing. A gang of teenagers came my way. I was so afraid I froze in my tracks. One of them hit me in the stomach, knocked the air out of me. I'm trying, okay. And they start beating. I'm a 6-year-old boy. I'm crying out for help. Teenagers are beating on me. This is crazy, right? But it's what happened. Pardon me. I'm screaming out profane. They're beating on me. One guy picks me up, slams me on the ground. They start stomping on me like I'm an ant or roach. They start kicking all over me, and I'm bleeding now from everywhere you could bleed. I'm crying out for help. I'm bleeding. I'm in excruciating pain. 6-year-old boy trying to figure out why. Why would these teenagers? It only takes one teenager to be up a 6-year-old. Why? But I'm in excruciating pain. They flipped me over. I'm faced up, back on the ground, and they took a great big old bucket of tar. They poured that tar on my face. They poured it on my body. They took a bunch of feathers, threw them on me, and left me out in the middle of the field, literally to die. Thank God somebody found me, rushed me to the hospital, got me taken care of. But life was a mess. One of my mom's boyfriends would beat me with a steel choker chain, like for a dog, a fiberglass bow and arrow set. I went through physical abuse and then the verbal abuse. You dumb kid, you never amount to be anything. You're not this, and of course, racial abuse, right? But then sexually, I was sexually abused, and sexual abuse is terrible, but especially when for a male, a man's man type of a guy, right? But at any rate, my friend, my wife, just every kind of abuse you can imagine, just beat down, beat down, beat down. I was a mess. I had no clue. And I surely didn't believe that I could be a master. Never forget getting started in the martial arts. And that was a big turning point in my life. As a matter of fact, my mom had won a free month of karate lessons. I went with her. They were kicking, chopping, screaming, hollering. As a matter of fact, my mom's free month ran out. And I don't know why none of my other brothers were interested, but I was the only one who went and watched. And her free month ran out. She started paying. Free is good, but when you're serious, you're willing to invest something. And every month she got better and better and better until she got what I call too good. Now you're probably saying, Doc, what's too good? I'm glad you asked. Here's what's too good is. Her and her boyfriend got in a fight, and she knocked him out cold. I looked at my brother Ron, and Ron looked at Lonnie. We looked at the ground. We said, man, don't mess with my mama. My mama's bad, man. My mama's bad. But it dawned on me, if martial arts could help a 5'1" mother knock out a 6'1" guy, I was like, man, this is my ticket. So I got started in what's called Isshin-ryu Karate. It's a Japanese style. Now my mom took Shotokan, but anyway, Isshin-ryu Karate. And so anyway, so now all of a sudden I'm starting now to see. But I remember you seeing this stuff in the martial arts and seeing them breaking, now, I got, here's a picture of me breaking bricks, with things written on them like fear and procrastination and doubt and all that. But I used to see people do stuff like this. I was like, no, they didn't have things written on them like I did. But anyway, but I was like, you can never do that. That's impossible. And as long as I thought that way, it was. Why? See, I was a mess, and my mentality was messed up even more than my life. And as a matter of fact, it was so bad, I tried to commit suicide on 2 occasions before I even turned 12 years of age. And maybe you're like I am, my friend. Maybe your life is a mess. Maybe your relationship is a mess. Maybe your business is in a mess. Maybe your spiritual life is in a mess. I got good news for you. Every master was once a mess. Therefore, every mess or mediocre person can one day be a master. You might be that mediocre person. You're just so apathetic. You just don't even care. You're like, hey, I'm okay. I'm not doing that bad, not doing that good. I'm okay. Somebody said the only thing in the middle of the road are yellow lines and dead skunks. And dogs don't even bark. at parked cars. But I never forget, then when I came to Christ, the greatest thing ever happened, February 14th, 1976, 15-year-old teenager. And I had by this time, by the way, I was so hard. I've been hurt so much in life. I had this hard shell to try to protect myself. My youth pastor says, "Hey, I'd like you to come to my house." And I'm thinking, you want me to come to your house? And I'll never forget. So I went over and they had grass, beautiful grass. And I was like, "Man, y'all got grass?" And he's looking at me like, "What are you talking about?" See, I grew up in a concrete jungle. I go in this house is immaculate, it's clean. And I'm like, whoa, it smells good. He's calling his wife honey. She's calling him sweetheart. This hardened teenager goes to bed that night, tears streaming down my face. I said, God, if I could have something like this, I want to have. Now, I know to some of you, you're like, are you serious? Yeah, I'm serious. Here's what I'm trying to tell you. I wasn't exposed to anything else other than what I saw, my friend, where I lived. And our house was dirty. Our house smelled. Again, mama, bless her heart, she worked two jobs to take care of us. She did everything she knew to do. You got these hard-headed boys tearing up the house all the time, right? And I guess she gets tired of trying to clean up after a while, and she's so tired when she comes home from work. But anyway, but I'm saying, and but I saw something different. I was exposed to something different. I don't, again, my friend, at first it was like, I was like, wow, could I have that? And again, I remember hearing people and seeing people speak and say, I could never do that, right? But then one day it dawned on me, wait a minute, maybe if I got trained like they got trained, maybe if I gave myself a chance. I remember I didn't like myself. And one day it dawned on me, wait a minute, if God is perfect and he loves me, why do I not even like myself? As a matter of fact, I used to couldn't stand myself, and now I like being me so much. It's so bad. If I wasn't me, I want to be me. But it's amazing when I started liking me, other people started liking me. When I didn't like me, other people didn't like me. And listen, my friend, but here's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say this, that a lot of people, my friend, category number one, they're a mess or mediocre because they don't either know, they don't have exposure, or they don't believe that they could be a master. They don't believe they could have a breakthrough in their marriage. They don't believe they could have a breakthrough in their business. They don't believe they could have a breakthrough in their mentality. They don't believe they could have a breakthrough in their quote unquote bad luck. They don't believe. They are not exposed. They don't know. And I'm trying to tell you, my friend, that exposure. I started cleaning up the house every day by myself as a teenager. And I got the house clean and spotless, my friend. And I started working toward, you know what? I'm going to have what he has. All of a sudden now I've got goals. I've got dreams. Before I was, sad to say, I was like an animal, just like a dog that just exists. A hippopotamus just exists. No goals, no purpose, no dreams, no aspirations. Because I kept thinking, you dumb kid, you never amount to be anything. Why even try? But now it stirred something in me, my friend. And make a long story short, you know the story. I mean, listen, my friend. And now, by the way, I'm married now to my ABCD, my adorable brown caramel delight. A woman that when I got married, she started calling me her king. I remember first saying, no, don't, I mean, I appreciate that, but don't say that. She said, no, you're my king. And of course, she just kept calling me that until one day I called her my queen. And then all something dawned on me. She knew who she was. And she's like, if he don't know all the way who he is, I'm going to keep calling. And so calling him because I know who I am. And so anyway, but matter of fact, we had took her to a movie the other day and then went out to eat. The guy said, hey, would you like some dessert? I said, no, sir, pointing to my wife. I said, I bought my dessert with me, 100% natural. But man, now, I mean, and I'm not just living my dreams. I'm living beyond what I dreamed. Some people say you never live, you got to dream. I didn't even have dreams that life could be this good, my friend. But it started with exposure, my friend. And that's why I love to travel and speak. And that's why I write books. And that's why I do trainings. That's why I do seminars. But listen, my friend, because some people, my friend, they don't have the exposure. They don't have that experience. And so sometimes you're at the place where you now are exposed, but you still don't believe it can happen for you. And so here's what I need to tell you. That's why I love doing what I do. Why? Because my friend, as a mentor, as a coach, one of the things I do is I tell people, look, just like when you learn to ride a bicycle, you can use my belief in you as training wheels until your own belief kicks in. That's what happened for me. See, I never believed in myself and people, but God surrounded me with people that saw something in me. See, I don't have time to go through it in psychology. We call it Johari's window. There's a part of you can see and others can see. There's a part of you you that you can see and others can't see. And there's a part of you that you can't see, excuse me, but other people can see. And then there's a part of you that you and no one else can see, only God can see. And these people saw me through my potential, not from my bad present state. And so they would say, try this. I knew it. Listen, I knew it wouldn't work, but I didn't want to let them down. So I just gave it a try. And it shocked me when it worked. And after doing that so many times, I was like, wait a minute, why don't I just start believing? And of course, that's what changed my life forever. By the way, greatest quote I ever heard, Muhammad Ali said I was the greatest. That's not the good part. Here's the good part. A long time before I ever believed it. Wow. So in other words, he figured out what he wanted to be, and he said, now, I don't believe it, but if I say it long enough and say it loud enough, maybe I'll hear myself long enough to believe it. And once I believe it, I'll start acting upon it. So again, category number one out of the 4 categories. Those who are a mess or at best mediocre, but don't know or don't believe that they can be a master. That's why I congratulate you for having material, watching material like this, my friend, because this will help you. But number 2, second category, those who are a mess or mediocre and are on their way working, they believe, they've been exposed, they believe that they can and one day will be a master. I call that a master in the making. Stop saying you're a mess or mediocre and start saying, I'm a master in the making. Now, again, when you go from being a mess or mediocre to a master, you have to understand now it's going to take some things. It's going to, first of all, it's going to take some mentorship, right? You got to have some mentors. And that's one of the things I love about mentoring and coaching people. And by the way, a true mentor will seem like a tormentor until you become an implementer. Come on, somebody. So watch this though, my friend. But to have somebody that can see in you and work to see, a mentor is someone who's been where you haven't been, and get this now, who sees in you what you don't see in yourself and is willing to work to help you to bring it out. Oh, come on now. And so it's going to take some mentorship, but then it's going to take a mental shift. You got to stop focusing on what you're not. Got to stop focusing on your faults. See, watch this. Failures versus successful. Failures focus on the villains and their vices. But the successful, we focus on our others' victories and our own virtues. Oh, come on, somebody. You see, watch this. Whenever you decide to do something, whenever you have an intention, then disruption comes. Whenever you decide to do the right thing, the barriers, see, in between where you are now versus where you want to be, in between is something called barriers. The kind of money you make now versus what you want to make in between is barriers. The relationship you have now versus what you like to have is barriers. Where you are now, a mess or mediocre versus but becoming a master, between is barriers. Most people think that barriers are made to stop you. No, barriers are only made to stop those who are not sincere, those who are not committed. But if you're like me, if you're sincerely committed, I got good news. Barriers were made to be broken. See, write this down. Any barrier that God did not make, it was made to be broken. Now, any barrier God made, don't mess with that one, right? But if God did not set that barrier, it was made to be broken. So listen carefully. So you can take a mentor's belief in you to your own belief kicks in. So call yourself a master in the making. So a master in the making is going to take mentorship, but it's going to take, watch this now, a mental shift. You can't be focusing on the villains that are against you, the haters. You know, I told somebody the other day, I don't have time to think about those who hate me. I'm too busy loving those who love me to be concerned about those who hate me. By the way, shallow folks hate, average speculate, but the great celebrate. Ooh, come on, somebody. And haters, haters, having animosity toward everyone reaching success. My mentor said, if you want people to get after you, do 3 things: have more, know more, and do more. He said, but if you want people to leave you alone, do 3 things: have nothing, know nothing, do nothing. I got to thinking, man, if I have nothing, know nothing, do nothing, they're going to call me lazy and no good. So no matter what you do, they're going to get after you. You might as well let them get after you for doing something good. Is that good or super good, right? So again, my friend, those 4 categories, again, out of 8.2 billion people, either one, those who are mess or best mediocre, but don't know or believe they can be a master. Number 2, those who are mess or mediocre and believe they can one day be a master. I call them a master in the making. So you got to go through, again, you have to have a mentor. You have to go through that mental shift, shifting away from the bad that you do. So what happens, you focus on the villains and you focus on your own, your own vices, and everything comes, it's just too big. You're like, no good, I'll never make it out of this. But if you focus on others that have victories, and then you focus on your virtues, so all of us got good things that we've done, and you take your virtues and you focus on that to where you get strong enough to overcome the vices, but you focus on others' victories. That's the difference. So you're a master in the making. So again, it's going to take some mentorship. It's going to take a mental shift. By the way, it's going to take some misery. That caterpillar, slow moving caterpillar, looks up and says, man, I'd love to be a beautiful butterfly. And daddy and mommy butterfly, mommy and daddy says to them, oh, come down and say, hey, listen, listen, listen. Friend said, don't worry, your day will come. But I got to warn you though, do you really want it bad enough? Well, yeah, I want it bad enough. Okay, well, you're going to have to get in something called a cocoon. It's a dark place. It's a lonely place. It's a seemingly impossible to get out of place. And you're going to struggle and you're going to wiggle, but eventually you're going to come out as a beautiful butterfly. As that caterpillar, slow moving, stuck on the ground, looks up and wishes he could fly or she could fly. Eventually gets in that cocoon. By the way, that's the difference between me. I'm not a motivational speaker. I'm the world's first breakthrough speaker. Motivational speakers are trying to get you to go a little faster. See, and caterpillars need to move faster, but I don't try to get caterpillars to move faster. I assist the caterpillar in the cocoon and then eventually out of the cocoon as a beautiful butterfly. So it's beyond motivation to total transformation. So I use motivation, inspiration, education, and oftentimes martial arts demonstration to assist a person in breaking through to the next level. This caterpillar's in the cocoon now, and he's struggling. He's like, it's so dark in here. I mean, I know they told me, but it's so lonely in here. I just wish I had somebody to talk to. It's like I'm so cramped up. I'm trying to get out of this thing, and he wiggles. He's fighting. And he's not even aware that he's wiggling and fighting, and all of a sudden things are changing. And he wiggles and he fights, and maybe he complains, and maybe he says, man, I didn't know it was gonna be this bad. I just wish I could get out of this place. I can't see down there. Now this is sudden. Oh, there's some sunlight. Yes, I can see. I can see. I believe I can get out of here. I'm gonna fight. Then all of a sudden, boom. I believe I can fly. And all of a sudden he's flying. He's like, whoa, look at, whoa. And I'm telling you, my friend, your time as a caterpillar has expired. Your wings are now ready. Your time as a financial caterpillar, your time as a bad marriage caterpillar, your time as a business not doing well caterpillar, your time, my friend, as a spiritually meek, weak, watered down caterpillar is expired. Your financial wings, your spiritual wings, your successful marital wings, your big business wings are now ready. Allow Dr. Breakthrough to help you. Number three, real quick, got to close. Number three, those who are masters, they made it. They made it. They made it. Right? That's where you have the Dr. Breakthrough that gets voted into the Black Belt Hall of Fame, that gets voted into the Motivational Speakers Hall of Fame. Now, when I first started martial arts, I tripped on my own feet. They called me Mr. Baboon. But listen, my friend, but my mind was made up. I said, one day I'm going to whoop you all. And before my sensei, that means Japanese word for teacher, instructor, before he passed, he said, Dr. Stan Harris, Dr. Breakthrough is going to take charge. When I pass, he'll inherit my belt and he'll take this system, this whole Dobson Ishinru Golden Dragon system. He'll be in charge. I was one of the greatest honors of my life. The same little guy. Matter of fact, when I was younger, my wife said, she said, you're the most truthful man, but I don't believe. I think you're lying. But I would tell her I used to be quiet when I was young. And she's like, no way. You're the most outspoken, confident man I've ever seen. And I said, but I wasn't always this way. See, remember, every master was once a mess. Therefore, every mess can one day be a master. It's not that I couldn't talk. I just didn't think anybody would listen to me. I didn't think I had anything worth saying. Why? Because I'd internalized, you dumb kid, you never amount to me anything. You're not this, you're not that. Being chased home every day, bullied. And anyway, listen. Watch this. But then, to reach the level of not just master in the martial arts, but grandmaster out of less than 200, happened to be one of them, voted into the Black Belt Hall of Fame. I retired as a heavyweight champion with Karate World Rating System. I'm trying to tell you, listen, my friend, I don't care where you are in life. I'm telling you, listen, if you can, oh, this is so powerful. Get something to write with. This is a Dr. Breakthroughsm, AKA Writer Downer. If you can be committed to the process of being bad or feeling bad for as long as it takes for your mentor and you to get good, you can get good at anything. Let me say it again. If you can be committed, keyword number one, committed to the process, that's keyword number two. You can be committed to the process of being bad or feeling bad. You know, that imposter syndrome. Oh, you'll go through it. Don't worry about it. But watch this now. The key, though, is to go through it. Hello, not stay and live in it, but watch this. If you be committed to the process of being bad or feeling bad for as long as it takes for you and your mentor to get you good, you can get good at anything. That's why I keep telling you, every master was once a mess. Every hero was once a zero. Listen, every master was once a mess, or best mediocre. Therefore, every mess or mediocre person can one day be a master. And when a mess or mediocre person becomes a master and you learn to market your message to the masses, you can make millions. So the masters made it. But here's what you don't know. The master has failed more times than the student ever attempted. Ooh, did you get that? See, mastery means you do the same thing over and over again. You do it when you feel like it. You do it when you don't feel like it. You just keep doing it till you do feel like it. And so, listen, you look at these masters, but you don't understand, my friend. They had to go through the mentorship. They had to go through the mentorship. They had to go through the misery. Come on, somebody. And it cost them a lot of money. They had to pay for seminars and pay for coaching and pay. Listen, but watch this. They made it. And you'll make it. One day you'll be a master. So right now, don't focus on the misery. Don't focus. See, focus. Be like that cat. If you're going to be the caterpillar, don't focus on the struggle you're in. Focus on how you're going to be flying, how that's going to feel. Come on, somebody. Learn to look ahead. Learn to say, I'm not as good as I'm going to be yet, but I'm on my way. Right? But watch this. When the master has made it, then you're like I am. I first started speaking. I was terrible. I would speak outside. It's like the trees bowed and the squirrels ran, right? But I kept working and working and working on it until eventually I spoke in all 50 states and 28 countries, spoken to as many as 17,000 people one time, got voted in the Motivational Speakers Hall of Fame, and I've been paid as much as $1,000 per minute. But don't worry, you get a discount. Listen, but I never dreamed that would happen to me, right? Especially as a minister, preaching is like, hey, I just if you want to take offering, fine. And they go from it's like, and then find out no, somebody will pay you $1,000 a minute to speak. Really? But then the fourth, I wouldn't do you justice if I didn't tell you this. And by the way, I've been through this. Isn't I never read this in a book, never heard anybody teach on this. This is what I've lived, my friend. This is what I sat down and I want to help you. I hope it's helping you, my friend. Again, only 4 categories out of 8.2 billion people. And here's the category number 4. Masters who have messed up and are now in the remaking. Masters who have messed up, thus they are masters in the remaking. Okay, I think I had that. Masters in the remaking. So people say, how'd you get the name Dr. Breakthrough? I'll say this real quick and I got to be done. Willie Jolly and I were speaking at Howard University 25 years ago. And I'll never forget. He said to me, he said, Dr. Breakthrough. He said, Dr. Stan, excuse me, branding's everything. He said, man, the way you break those bricks with things written on them, the way you break boards and bend steel bars and lay on nails, he said, you explain breakthrough better than anybody I know. And then you motivate the crowd to want a breakthrough. He said, man, it's like a person goes to a doctor and the doctor writes a prescription. When somebody needs a breakthrough, you're the guy with the prescription. You need to be called Dr. Breakthrough. Yeah, that's it. You are Dr. Breakthrough. I looked at him and said, thank you so much, Willie. I appreciate those kind words. I'm not sure it's true, but I promise you, I'll live to make sure it is true. Listen, isn't it amazing people try to compliment us, and the first thing we want to do is try to shoot it? Well, no. Now, you may not be like me, but here's the way I was. Used to be. People criticize me, I internalize it. They try to give me a compliment. No, under the guise of being humble. No, right? No. I learn now to thank people. As a matter of fact, a lot of times I'll say, people say, man, you're one of the best speakers I've ever heard in my life. Well, man, you're a great judge. And I'm like, no, thank you very much. I appreciate that. But hey, if you can spot it, it's because you got it. You see what I'm doing? I'm accepting it, and then I'm sharing, right? So watch this, my friend. Listen carefully. Here's what I didn't tell you. And for years I wouldn't tell people this, but now, and by the way, I'll tell you up front, if you told this story, I wouldn't believe it, but it happened to me, I got to believe it. What I didn't tell you was when Dr. Willie Jolly said, "Hey, you're Dr. Breakthrough, you guy," he didn't know it, but I was homeless. He didn't know it. I was carless. He didn't know it. I was phoneless. That's right. Man, I was doing pretty good. Had this beautiful basket, this golden golden basket, this beautiful golden egg, but my golden basket got burst, got crushed. That's why now I have 14 different income streams. Back then I just had one. And make a long story short, going through a problem with the company, and it's like, and they wanted to try to control me, and they wanted me to just do their thing instead of doing other things as well, and blah blah blah. And I was like, and they tried to give me an ultimatum. I said, you know what? Here, take the car, luxury bonus car, Buick Navigator that they would pay for, and anyway, and I was doing about 12 grand a month back then. That was man way back. But anyway, I said, hey, take the check, take the car. I don't care. Well, they did. Later, a guy said, "Man, dude, you worked too hard for that. You should have just negotiated something." But anyway, and make a long story short, and went through a terrible divorce. Was a terrible divorce. I mean, I'm the man. It's my fault. Everything, right? But watch this though. But lost everything. I mean, crashed and burned. Lost everything. So I'm homeless. Thank God this person has a little trailer like lets me stay there, and of course, I'm carless, and I'm phoneless. I mean, homeless is bad enough, but carless and could he live in a car like Steve Harvey, some of those other guys, and then phoneless. So anyway, been in the trailer finally and said, "Hey, look, here's a little phone we're putting here that you can use. Remember those old-fashioned phones?" And so I called somebody. That's how I found out about they wanted me. I said, "Man, if I can just get to that meeting." So I taught somebody to let me borrow their car. So if I get to that meeting, I'll speak. They'll pay me, and I'm sure I could sell a couple of books or whatever. And that's that meeting where Dr. Jolly says, "You should be called Dr. Breakthrough." By the way, one of my mentors, William E. Bailey, uh, you know, I paid him a lot of money for him to mentor and coach me. And one of the questions I asked him, "Hey, Dr. William Bailey, tell me about your worst day." He said, "Oh, the worst day? Nobody's ever asked me that." I said, "Man, I know how to live the good days. I need to know how to live the worst day." He said, "My worst day is when I lost 12 million." I was like, "You had 12 to lose? How'd you get out of it?" He said, "Well, first of all," I said, "Wait a minute. The first time I made it, I didn't know I could make it. I believed I could, but I didn't know." And he said, "So this time," I said, "Well, if I made it before, I can make it again. But this time, I know I can because I did it before. If I did it before, I can do it again. But not only can I do it again, I can do it now easier with less effort because I don't have to bump my head. I know exactly what to do." And he said, and I did it. Bill Farley flew my wife and I out to, and again, I'm kind of interspersing things, but just so to tell you about what's called time release teaching. So some things you learn now, it doesn't seem like it applies, but the day will come. And that day came because when I was homeless, I was walking around. I would say stuff like this: now listen carefully. I'm a rich man that happens to be low on cash, but God and I are changing that fast. I'm a rich man. See, Job 22:21, thou shalt decree a thing, it shall be established unto thee. Isaiah 57:19, I, the Lord, create the fruit of the lips. That's what I'm saying. Look, don't curse your situation. Don't rehearse it. Don't nurse it. Give it to God, and y'all reverse it. But watch this. I get to the meeting, I speak, I make some money. And then I use that little phone to call a guy, and he says, "Man, I've been looking for you. This company wants you to speak. They want you to be the international training director." I said, "I'll take it." He said, "I didn't even tell you the parameters. I'll take it." I said, "Look, tell them I can come right now. Tell them fly me out, and I can stay as long." And so they were paying me to do these meetings. And the guy said, "Hey, look, I put a spot in you. I know you're not you building anything right now, but if anybody comes to hear you speak and they want to join, just send them to me and I'll put them in the deal." Well, make a long story short, those checks started getting pretty big, like my speaking check. And I say, "Hey, Dave, show me what I got to do with this comp plan. Show me. Let me slow down. Pay attention." Again, I'm not exaggerating. I wouldn't believe it if you don't believe me. I don't blame you because I wouldn't believe you, but I have to believe me because I lived it. 5.5 months later, from being homeless, phoneless, and carless, 5.5 months later, with that company, I was making $25,000, not per month, per week. Now, remember, the most I'd ever made is $12,000 a month up to that point. Now I'm making $25,000 per week. That's $100,000 a month. So guess what? I wasn't homeless. I wasn't phoneless. I wasn't carless. I had to pay cash for the car because the credit was jacked up, whatever. And the place that I got had to pay a bunch in advance. But this beautiful beach house overlooking, oh my goodness. Anyway, but here's what I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying to tell you, I don't care where you are. I've been in all the stages. You can break through. Ezekiel 36:36, I, the Lord, build the ruined places. That means he can rebuild ruined people, ruined success, ruined businesses, ruined relationships. So these out of 8.2 billion, 4 categories of people. And by the way, business is the same way. And I don't know where your business is right now, but I'm telling you, whether it's a mess or mediocre that doesn't know or believe it can succeed, or whether you're a mess or mediocre on your way to succeeding, becoming a master, or master who made it, or master who's messed up and in a remaking. Hey, my name is Dr. Stan Harris. They call me Dr. Breakthrough. I always give a disclaimer. I can't provide the breakthrough. I just prescribe the breakthrough. But when you follow my breakthrough prescription, God Almighty provides the breakthrough. And the breakthrough is exploding through barriers that at one time seemed insurmountable. And like this ball, I wanted to get a Super Ball. In the olden days, we had a Super Ball, but I got carpet here, so this works even better. But the master is messed up in the remaking. Here's what you got to do. When life knocks you down, throws you down, you should just bounce back up. And the harder it throws you down, the harder you come up. And you just keep on. And by the way, and then your light will start to shine. Hey, I believe in you. Take my belief in you like train wheels. And whether you're just getting up for the first time or getting back, and I want to work with you. Give me a call, by the way. Text me at 717 275 3508. 717 275 3508. Hey, God bless you. I believe in you. You, my friend, are made by God to be a representative. So, it's time for you to succeed, to become the best version of yourself.